What's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty Podcast. On tonight's show, we're going to hit a bunch of topics. We're going to talk about what we're doing with Christian McCaffrey, talking about some long-term value at the running back position, and, of course, trade targets. And, of course, he's back with me. He's better than ever. He is the man of the hour and the man with the power, Jerry Sinclair. How the hell are you?
I am exquisite, Randall. It is good to hear your voice. It is good to be here. It is good to be talking football. We are on the precipice of the playoff season. So it is getting exciting to say the least.
You know, if your teams are out of it, you can just kind of coast and enjoy football. Maybe you gamble, maybe you're wanting to get in on some props, maybe you do some DFS. And have we got just the thing for you? It is the Dynasty WarZone YouTube channel. Wednesday nights, Jerry, I don't want to say it. I don't have a sound drop, but in fuego. 2 weeks ago with bets, I was 4-1. This week, 3-2. So what is that? 7-3 over the last 2 weeks. My player props, 4-1 last week. Goddamn Tony Pollard. He needed 3 catches. He had 2 in the first half. Can we not get a third catch in the we had 30 minutes of football, Tony. Tony, dick move, bro. Dick move. But if you want to get the best of the number, tune in on Wednesday, YouTube channel. You can watch live, usually with Dr. Kyle. He's often gallivanting out about on the streets of New York, but I'm always there Wednesday night live. And you want to get the best of the number. That's a good reason to tune into the YouTube channel. Our boy Kyle from the Fantasy Football Smackdown every Saturday, waiver wire sniping. He's great. Always good stuff. He'll be wrapping that up because there'll be no need for the waiver wire.
True.
Because the playoffs start in week 15. And me and my buddy Jesse, we've been doing football Sunday school. Come get blessed with us before kickoff, 1 p.m. Eastern. We usually start between 11 and 11:30, and we go until the questions run out or until I've got to set 17 lineups, whichever comes first. And you can get all of that for free over at YouTube, Dynasty WarZone. Subscribe, leave some thumbs up, jump. If you're watching this on live stream, slide over to YouTube. Give this video a thumbs up. Tell Jerry how beautiful his hair looks. Jerry, your hair looks great.
Thank you. I'm going to have to get a haircut soon, and I will likely comment because I keep the stream up because I am such a man of the people.
Yeah, that's why you're the man of the hour and the man with the power. So, Jerry, you know what we did last week?
Oh, yeah, about A.J. Brown? Yeah.
No. We had a guest.
Okay.
This week, no guest.
Apparently, we need another guest because I'm shit at this, but continue.
You're doing great. Last week, we had Mr. Pat Fitzmaurice from Fantasy Pros. No guest tonight, and this show will be live on YouTube next Sunday night because next Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a little appearance on another fantasy football podcast. I'm not going to spoil it because, sometimes things come up. That's what things do. But this podcast will be in your podcast player next Wednesday. So Jerry and I got a lot to get to. Jerry, we didn't do this last week with Pat. We didn't want to drag Pat down the gutter, down the alley with us because we got to keep Twitter safe for all the people. Are you ready for the return of good people, bad tweets?
I've been waiting a damn month for it. Yeah, what do you got?
All right. So did you see that one Gardner the Mustache Minshew started for the Philadelphia Eagles because Jalen Hurts had an ankle sprain?
I did. He looked good, too.
Now, did you happen to see the video of him and his father after the game? Now, first of all, he showed up dressed like Tom Cruise from the 1980s classic Top Gun. He had on the fighter pilot jacket, aviator shades, looking fresh, that Maverick drip, if you will. Did you see the video of the excitement and joy between him and his dad?
It was unadulterated, pure happiness and emotion. Yes, I saw it. It was awesome.
You can't fake that.
No.
So I want to read the tweet and then I'll tell you my reaction. First of all, this person, he is a really good person. I interact with him a lot. He is a fellow CrossFit athlete. He's a member of the hashtag FFFit Club and an all-around good dude, but I just did not get this tweet. His comment was, and his name is Tyler Balowski. And what's weird is he does a podcast with his kids. And as a dad who has kids that, are aspiring to do, I find this odd. But he was like, wow, 3 exclamation points. You beat the Jets, beat a real team, then you can act like this. Jeepers, I could line up with 10 dudes off the street and beat the Jets. Can't he just go away already? I'm sorry. I'm going to let you go this one first because I'm going to go on a mini rant.
Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Alexander Madison, they couldn't beat the winless Detroit Lions. So don't tell me you and 10 random ass buddies could go out there and beat the Jets. Listen, I'm not the biggest Gardner Minshew fan in the history of time either. But I don't know how anybody saw that video and was not happy for the dude. Like maybe in his world, he's a big Jalen Hurts guy. And so that's why he's just trying to numb that victory down a little bit. But get out of here, man. Like the dude is happy and he's doing it with his dad. Like what the hell do you want from him? I don't know.
This one just hit me all sorts of wrong in the feels. If you're watching live on YouTube, speaking of the Dynasty WarZone YouTube channel, the hat that I'm wearing right now is my son's baseball team. He is going to be on the junior varsity for the Hamilton Southeastern Royals Baseball Club. And I can tell you that he and I spend every Wednesday night and every Sunday morning working on baseball year round. It's December in Indiana. It's colder than a well-digger's shorts. And we are still working on our baseball game every single Sunday, every single Wednesday. As a dad of an athlete or even of a dad who if your kids do like chess bowl or whatever, I can't sit still. This was my comment to this. I can't sit still when my son's in the batter's box in travel baseball and junior varsity. I can't. I cannot imagine what his father and Gardner sat through. That is the culmination of all those practices, all those games, all those moments. I don't care if it's the Jets. I don't care if it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I don't care who it is. That's a big flipping deal. And I hope one day that you and your family get to experience that. It's a magical moment because, again, I don't know. How old do you think Gardner Minshew is? 25? 24, 25?
Maybe.
He's probably been playing football for 20 years. His dad's been driving him to Pop Warner, coaching him. This means a lot. And I understand it's the Jets. First of all, Jerry, who's the best team in college football right now out of the 4? Who would you say is the best?
Alabama.
And the Jets would beat the goddamn brakes off of the Alabama Crimson. They would beat them like they owed them money. Them. So don't get it twisted. The Tennessee Titans, who lead the AFC South, couldn't beat the Jets. The Cincinnati Bengals, who are second in the AFC North, couldn't beat the Jets. So it's a big deal. This guy is playing for his future. He is hoping that a team gives him the opportunity. Like I said, Tyler, I said it in the tweet that I responded to the other day. You are a good dude, and I mean that with every fiber of my body. But this was a bad take. Yeah, this was a bad take. This means a ton. We always kill these athletes for they don't show any emotion and whatever, and he does, and we want to kick him in the junk over it. Come on, man. Come on. Let's give him a break. Jerry, would you consider me a Tyler Minshew guy? I mean, a Gardner Minshew guy?
I mean, not really.
No. I was killing him this time last year. I was telling you that this man was a fugazi. I was telling you that, people were telling you to trade for him in Dynasty. I'm just talking about the moment. I'm just talking about fathers and sons and let these guys have their 30 seconds. So, Jerry, I'm gonna give you a little something, and then we're going to get into our segment about Christian McCaffrey.
Cool.
What I'm saying to you is you should give it to somebody that don't know any better, because that's a fugazi. All right?
That's a fugazi. How do you know it's a fugazi? You looked at it for 2 seconds.
Well, it's a fake.
Yeah, I know what a fugazi is.
Yeah, I do think that at some point Gardner Minshew will go away. But you know what? Let the man have his moment in the sun with his old man. If he was doing that with a teammate, different story. But that's his pops. And that is Good People, Bad Tweets, brought to you by BetUS.com. That is our official odds provider. I kind of feel bad, but I really don't. They asked for it. I didn't knock on their door. They knocked on mine. They're like, hey, we want to sponsor the Dynasty WarZone. I'm like, cool.
It's the segment we gave them. Nice.
And we're having the people that listen to the Big Bet and listen to the Propcast. We're just beating the brakes off of them right now. We're on fire. So make sure you tune in and then go over to betus.com. Use promo code Memphis when you sign up. And you too can come beat the dog snot out of our sponsor. Promo code Memphis. Get that match upon initial deposit. So, okay, Jerry. Last week we talked A.J. Brown. This week we're going to talk Christian McCaffrey. So I'm going to let you go first. Christian McCaffrey, what are you doing with him as a dynasty piece? What are your thoughts? He's 25 today. He'll turn 26 in June. He'll be going into year 6 of his career off 2 injury-filled seasons. What are your current thoughts as it relates to one Christian McCaffery?
What I'm doing if I have Christian McCaffrey is I am holding that man until he starts scoring points again next season, and then I am done with Christian McCaffrey. It's not that I don't think the man is a talent. Clearly, the man is a talent, but also if you're trying to get rid of him now and you have him, I think the value is a little depressed. At some point, his startup value this offseason is definitely going to be lower. I don't think that's arguable. I mean, you can't have as many injuries as he had, plus the emergence of some of the other young guys, and not go down a little bit. But it should still be an elite asset. And I don't think he's going to be an elite asset for a long period of time. So I am going to take advantage of that next offseason, or not next offseason, excuse me, within the next month or so of 2022. Let him have a 30-point game. Let him have a 25-touch game. He doesn't even need to have 30 points. And then I'm going to flip him. I'm going to get younger. It's just that age group of running backs is just not conducive to longevity. We've seen it with guys like Alvin Kamara. We've seen Dalvin Cook get hurt a bunch. I mean, it's what happens. So he's, David Johnson, Todd Gurley. We can keep this going. So he's still very good, and his value is pretty stable. I don't think he's a foundational piece. I don't at all. There is a lot of players that I would take straight up for Christian McCaffrey that I think other podcasts would have me as good person, bad tweet because of it.
They might have you fit for a straight jacket.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's eerily similar. It doesn't mean it has to continue this way. For me, it's eerily similar to the usage pattern and then the subsequent career arc thereafter. Todd Gurley, we'll go back to 2016. David Johnson had over 400 PPR points. Then he had a wrist injury, and then the wheels have just come off the wagon ever since, right? Remember, he hurt his wrist in like game 1 or 2 in the 2017 season. He's never been the same since. No. Then in 2018, you had the 385-point season with Todd Gurley. Heavy usage pattern, never really been the same since. Then 2019, you had the amazing year with both Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's never been the same. Now, to his credit, Christian McCaffrey backed it up in 2019 with a huge 471 PPR point season, but he's never really been the same. And there are still dynasty services out there. This blows my mind, like, that are still asking the question, is he no longer the RB1? I got news for you. He's not even my top 5. I'm not going to spill my top 5. I saved that for patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. But he's not in my top. Is he in your top 5?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's close if he is, but no, he's not. He's not anywhere near RB1.
Okay. First of all, does that offense inspire confidence?
No.
Okay. Does his injury and everything? And here's the thing: unlike David Johnson, when he had his mega season in the next year, he hurt a wrist. So at least you could at least build on the narrative that it's a wrist. It's no big deal. He is continuing. It's been a hamstring for a couple of games. Now it's an ankle. Last year it was an ankle. And I don't remember the website, but I recently read an article where once a player goes on the injury report once, their fantasy production dips by 15%. I mean, he's going to be 26 in the offseason. That's like right at the pinnacle. He's hit the pinnacle. He's going downhill. And people are still giving multiple firsts for this guy, and I'm happy to move on. I don't go chasing names. I'm not a brands guy. I like good stuff. Nice things aren't cheap and cheap things aren't nice. That's the Jerry Jones motto, and I can certainly roll with that. But I want to hit you with a list of guys, kind of like we did.
Hold on. Let's talk about this trade back because we just made a trade with him, right?
We
I
sure
did. I
did.
sent you too late first, didn't I? I don't remember.
You sent me a first that's currently trending to be in the back third.
Okay, that is a nice way of saying is Randy thinks he's going to win that league and it's going to be 112 because that's what I thought.
You sent me one from the guy who's currently, I believe, in third place.
Oh, okay. It wasn't yours.
So you sent me a 2022 and a
2023.
And a 2023. The 2023 you sent back was my own.
Yeah.
Now this is a league where I had Christian McCaffrey, but I have Zeke, I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I have James Robinson. I believe I have so I'm not going to need Christian McCaffrey the rest of the season. It's not going to. I'm in either second or first place in the standings currently. Humble brag, but not really. So he was not doing me anything. But it's also a league where I have no firsts in 2022 or in 2023. So I really needed to get a little draft capital. I've got plenty of running backs. I've got plenty of wide receivers. This is a must-start 2 QB league. I've got Wentz, Carr, and Cousins. I might want to upgrade the QB position at some point. So for me, it was what was your interest as a guy who's rebuilding in that league? I know you got your wide receiver group set.
It's UPL, right? Yes, UPL. Okay. So I don't have running backs. That's my problem in that league. My wide receivers, I just had it. I have Jalen Waddle. I have DK Metcalf. I have Hollywood Brown, which are 3 guys that I absolutely would recommend building your team around. I also have guys like Kadarius Toney, Mike Williams, Michael Gallup. So a good second tier of guys. This has been my worst rebuild job that I've had, in truth. It's taken a lot longer than I wanted to. And Trey Lance not playing at all hurt. Trevor Lawrence not living up to his potential hurt. But, they're young and they have a chance with my wide receiver core. The problem is my running backs. And I believe I only have one first. So I have the 101 currently. But we'll see what I'm going to do with that. So I wanted at least one running back because I do think my wide receivers are in good shape. And if Trey Lance can play, I think I'm going to be okay. I should at least be a playoff team with a high upside. But I didn't have any running backs. And you didn't need Christian McCaffrey at all because you're trying to win and you didn't have any first. So I figured I would just take that route. I don't intend on keeping him. Pretty much the strategy I said earlier is exactly what I intend to employ with Christian McCaffrey next season.
I mean, for me, it's just I'm ready to get out from under him.
I think you got a good return in that aspect, especially since you don't need him at all.
I'm always going to be a year too early,
to
a year too late. Let me rephrase that. If we, not the royal we, but we as in you and I, if we ever get to the point to where a guy who's had 2 injury seasons, who's past the age premium for his position, if we have to look at each other and say, is he still the 101 at his position? It's time to turn off the mics, turn off the lights, and let the next generation take over because the game's passed you by. The game has passed us by from a dynasty standpoint, and you're living in the was and not looking at what the future is. So I'm going to hit you with 5 guys, same drill we did last week.
Yeah.
If you would not take these guys straight up for Christian McCaffrey, what would you want in return? So the first guy is, now remember, Christian McCaffrey's 25 now, will be 26 in June, okay? Mm-hmm. This next guy, almost a year to the day older than Christian McCaffrey, but it's Austin Eckler. He's 26 now. He'll be 27 in May. So he's about 13 months older than Christian McCaffrey. Who would you rather have in Dynasty for the long term? Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, and then tell me what the difference would be for you.
Okay, so I would probably rather have Austin Eckler because I think I could get a second on top of that. The problem is or not the problem, the reason I would prefer Austin Eckler in a nutshell is he's under contract for 2 more years. I like that offense better. He doesn't get hurt as much. Excuse me. And he is the same sort of profile that Christian McCaffrey is. But I get Justin Herbert, and I get an offensive coordinator that just didn't get fired in week 13 or whatever it is. So,
better offensive line.
Yeah, better. Well, I guess not better weather. Carolina is about the same as Southern California, but I don't know. I like Austin Eckler better.
I think you have to add McCaffrey right now because if the Austin well, the Austin Eckler GM's in the playoffs. So if you're going to make this trade, you're going to make it. You're going to have to make it in the offseason for Eckler. I mean, I can tell you, I'm in 2 leagues where I am going to have the bye, and then I want to be playing. I'm not moving Austin Eckler for Christian McCaffrey now.
But let's say it's the offseason. Let's pretend we're 2 months from now. You still think you have to add to the Christian McCaffrey side?
If you want him from me, yeah. Yeah, because more than likely Austin Eckler is going to help me win a championship. As you've already said, I get the better quarterback. I get the better offensive line. I don't necessarily love Joe Lombardi as an offensive coordinator, but it bees that way sometimes. I like the division, a lot of shootouts. I like his involvement in the running and passing game. It's never bothered me that, they continue to find a thunder to his lightning, if you will. They're looking for their A.J. Dillon. I think on an Austin Eckler side note, you're probably going to get a nice value for him. So if you want my Austin Eckler, you're going to have to add a first to Christian McCaffrey, and I'll add a second. That's the only way you're going to get the conversation rolling.
I think that's a tough trade to get done, but I understand where you're coming
I'm happy to walk. I'm happy to walk away from the negotiation table and be like, and just done. All right, I'm going to hit you with another guy. Okay. This guy is actually working with the offensive coordinator that made Christian McCaffrey, or helped, let me rephrase that, helped make Christian McCaffrey set records in 2019. That is, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank, but it's Antonio Gibson. He's in Scott Turner, son of the Turner that I'm drawing a blank on his dad, but his dad was the OC also in Carolina as well as Dallas. And it's Antonio Gibson. Now, Antonio's 23, will be 24 in June. He's a guy who's been balling. So we're going to talk about this in a vacuum. So off season, what do you have to add? What are your thoughts? And Mike in the chat, Mike Kenny, God bless you, you sweet, sweet son of a bitch. It's Norv Turner. Scott Turner's the son. Norvell is the father. Thank you, Mike.
What a first name, Norvell. So I'm not the biggest Antonio Gibson guy that there ever was. But he's younger, and he has gotten an immense workload. And I don't think that quarterback situation is going to solve itself. So they're going to keep just giving that dude tons of damn carries. And he's finally started to get the receptions that we knew he could get. So, the first 10 weeks of the year, and even last year, he didn't get tons. But then in the last 2 weeks, he's gotten 7 and 5. So that I love to see. I think the answer is Antonio Gibson. I think you could do Antonio Gibson in a first for CMC in a second, and I think you would be able to pull that off. And I would do that, as Randy would say, cash American.
I don't think you even have to add the second to the Gibson side.
I mean, probably not. But I think
as soon as the season's over,
I'll throw in the wet sock if they want it.
I'm not gonna miss that deal. I want out of the Christian McCaffrey business. I'm just done. You know what?
Like I said, I'm not a huge Gibby guy. I don't think Gibby's made for this, our game for a long period of time. But I do think he's going to get a shitload of work next year. So I think that would be my guy.
Remember, with the running back position, they're not here for a long time. They're here for a good time.
Yes, sir.
Alvin Kamara, he's 26. He'll be 27 in July. Same draft class as Christian McCaffrey, the fabled 2017. So in a vacuum, they're about the same. I'll go first. Kamara's been hurt. I'm taking CMC. Hopefully the Kamara GM has fallen out of playoff favor, and maybe I can go get Kamara right now. He's going to return. Hopefully he can help me a little bit down the stretch. I'll give you CMC straight up. So I don't think you have to add to either side, but who do you want in a vacuum? We'll just put it that way. You want Kamara or you want CMC for the next 3 years?
I want Christian McCaffrey, and I don't think I'm going to get either of them for 3 years, but it's Christian McCaffrey because Alvin Kamara has been in the same situation. Hurt a lot.
I think this is the first time he's ever missed any significant time in his career.
Yeah, but it's at the age that he's doing it that scares the shit out of me. I just don't love it. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey pretty easily. I view them the same, and in startups, there's a 0% chance because I will absolutely do startups because I'm a sucker, and this game is an addiction. there is a 100% chance that neither of them is on any of my teams that I do a startup.
We will have to think of a long-term bet for the rest of something, because you and I are on the opposite sides of this. Who has a better career the rest of the way? I'm getting Sean Payton. I'm getting a better organization. I'm taking Alvin Kamara every day of the week, and easily over Christian McCaffrey. I'm not trying to kill McCaffrey. What about this next guy, Saquon Barkley? Now he's a year younger. He's 24 now. Will be 25 in January, so they'll be 25 for about 6 months. So 6 months age difference. Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey, because I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of change with either one.
I think it's Saquon, just because I think he has the opportunity to go to a different team, and that could maybe change his outlook. Want to talk about somebody that gets hurt a shitload? Saquon Barkley. Want to talk about a guy who's been living on hype? Saquon Barkley. But that hype also insulates his value a little bit. So I have a longer period of time that I think I could trade and get an immense return from Saquon. Maybe even if he gets hurt again, honestly. Like, I feel like if they both had a catastrophic injury next year, I feel like Christian McCaffrey's value would tank, and Saquon Barkley's would be like Joe Mixon last year. Like, it would be like a third or a fourth round startup pick, which is an immense drop. You shake your head. Tell me why not. You don't think so? I think you're giving way too much faith to a lot of people that play this game.
No. So it's currently December of 2021, and I want to give credit to Jordan McNamara of the UTH. He's been a guest on the show at McNamara Dynasty. He actually tweeted this the other day. Saquon Barkley has not rushed for more than 60 yards in a single game in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Now, in fairness, that's been 11 games, but he has not rushed for 60 yards in 2 years.
And all of his injuries, a borderline first-round startup pick. And not unjustified. Don't get me wrong. But nobody has done more with their college profile. Now, in fairness to him, he had a great rookie year, 1,300 rushing yards, 11 TDs, chipped in with 91 receptions. I mean, it was phenomenal. He was the RB1. He and Christian McCaffrey were like literally separated by a couple of points that year, and it's all been downhill ever since. Per the DTC, he is a 36.6. And that's about 2 first. I'll take those 2 first, and I'll run like a scalded dog. I'm gone. Hold on. Let me ask you the question that David Donaldson asked in the chat. Where is CMC going in startup season? He says it's the 3-4 turn. I think it's way ahead of that.
No, I think in a 1 QB, he will go in the top 9 picks. And you will live to regret that.
So super flex, you're like middle of the second round? Front end of the second round?
In a super flex, you should be looking 9 QBs as the first 9 picks. And then, he'll probably go right around the turn. I mean, here's the thing. Where I think he will go is in the area where I could get a guy like Justin Jefferson.
I agree.
And, I mean, that's not even close. You want to know what the gap is between Christian McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson? It's a tourist attraction in the state of Arizona. It's called the Grand Canyon. That's the gap between Christian McCaffrey and Justin, and it's not even remotely close. I'm going to go and take McCaffrey over Barkley.
Okay,
and
I think that's fair. I think that one's close though.
I mean, at least in the 3 games McCaffrey played this year, I saw some RB1 weeks.
You did.
I mean, Saquon Barkley this week, he literally had 13 points, and he had 6 catches for 19 yards with Mike the Neck Glennon. So for me, I would much rather have McCaffrey over Barkley. I think Barkley, speaking of Fugazis, there's the biggest Fugazi in Dynasty. I'll take all the equity out. Maybe one day we'll do a Saquon Barkley version of this. Last guy, I had to hit you with a curveball. We were talking baseball earlier. I want to hit you with a curve. Christian McCaffrey. What's the gap between Christian McCaffrey and Javonte Williams? Javonte is 21 now, will be 22 in April. Now, in fairness, I do still have Christian McCaffrey ahead of Javonte Williams. I know. I'm going to humble brag on Javonte here in a second. But what's the gap? What do you have to add? Because I don't think right now, if you went to the Javonte GM, I don't think you're getting him for Christian McCaffrey straight up. Not in season.
If you mean like the Javonte
Right now.
Williams owner would acquire CMC straight up?
Yes.
I mean, if they're a contender, probably not. No,
I don't think you could even get.
But let's live in a vacuum, right? The offseason is a vacuum where.
So we're talking like Valentine's Day, like February 14th.
Okay.
We're past the NFL season. We're not quite to free agency.
Yeah. How much do you got to add? I don't know. I think what this weekend did for Javonte Williams was shoot that mother effer to the moon. I don't think anybody that has Javonte Williams is actually going to trade Javonte Williams. I think he is one of the few people in Dynasty that is going to get held on to tighter than a dolphin's butthole. Like you are not going to get
watertight like a dolphin's butthole.
Just not happening. And I was a little worried about Javonte Williams. Randall was not. So you go ahead and you have your victory circle.
My moment in the sun?
Yeah, you take it. Get your suntan lotion.
Rise to the top. Oh yeah.
So I posted a little tweet ski on it was Steffi Smalls. She posted on what's Twitter going to do if Javonte doesn't live up to the hype. And my response was there's only one player before that game. One player had rushed for 100 yards this season against the Kansas City defense. That player was Lamar Jackson. Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, and the king, Derrick Henry, had not rushed for over 100 yards. Now, Javonte barely inched over. It got like 102, heavily involved in the passing game, 29.3 PPR points. What did Denny Green say years ago when he was a head coach of the Cardinals and they played the Bears? Javonte is who I said he would be. Jerry, what did I say earlier in the season? I said, this is what I wanted. I wanted Javonte to ride side by side with Melvin Gordon. And as we crept close to the Dynasty playoffs, here comes Javonte Williams to help you win a league championship. Do we look like we're on the right track?
I would say so.
I don't sound very, very humble, but I'm gonna give it to you again.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh yeah.
I mean, because a lot of times we don't watch a lot of Denver Broncos football. It's like what in Vegas they call that the corner of the room game. That's Denver's on in the corner of the room. You don't really watch it. It's just there because people have money on it. It's like ooh. It's Denver and Philadelphia. Ew, gross. But it was a Sunday night game. It was standalone, and you watched. My final tweet of the night on Javonte Williams is that dude's a hammer. He's 230 pounds, and you know what? He gets every single yard. Impressive with the hands, and my boy Melvin Gordon's gone in the offseason. So for me, you're not
hold on. So now I got to ask a follow-up. Why in the absolute hell is Christian McCaffrey ahead of him in your rankings then?
It's a damn good question, and one that will beg research in the offseason. Right now, I have Javonte as my 8, and Sunday's game did not move him up or down. He's been my 8 for about a month. I think you and the patrons over at patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone would back up that claim. I'm not moving him yet. I will tell you that in very short order, if Saquon Barkley the rest of this season continues to shit the bed, then Javonte Williams will move ahead of Saquon Barkley by the time the season's over. I'm not into your college profile. I know people love it. They go absolutely batshit sideways, crazy insane for combine metrics and the laundry you wore in college. I give a tinker's fuck. I can't say that word anymore because we're already on double secret YouTube probation. I don't give a shit, okay? The minute you step into the NFL, none of that matters anymore. All that is an indicator of potential future success. But after the case of Saquon Barkley, a 4-year sample size, you're a guy who can do it when Eli Manning's the quarterback. I don't give a shit that you went to Penn State. I don't give a shit that you have quads the size of my waist. I don't care.
Yes.
None of that's scoring me fantasy points right now. You win championships with players who score points, not players that have amazing draft profiles, not players that have outstanding athleticism. You do it with dogs, DAWG, out there scoring fantasy points. So, no, you're not going to get Javonte Williams now, and you're going to have a tough time getting him in the offseason. So,
Because they hold on to him. They should. I'm not arguing. They should.
I mean,
you're right. I was not. I was absolutely not right.
It's not about being right. It's about getting it right for all the people that listen to this show. We're trying to help them acquire value.
He's good. The problem is I don't think you can acquire him because
now the world's seen it. The magic's happened.
Exactly.
The genie's out the bottle.
Like David said, unless Jonathan Taylor is involved, I don't think you're getting Javonte Williams because that's another dude who's just getting held on to and nobody's letting go.
And not only was it his one standalone game, where he was the bell cow, but it was in prime time. You couldn't flip the channel. You weren't watching anything else. You watched him pound the ball with like 30 touches. So there you go. That's Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to take whatever points I can get from him. And that segment was brought to you by our Patreon, Jerry. Great group of ladies and gents. We talk about football nonstop. We have a lot of people getting ready for some fantasy playoffs. They're going to go win some fantasy cash. More than cover the monthly membership over at patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone, Jerry.
That's true.
You would think you would be better as much as you hang out in there with these guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you guys
say that? But Dynasty DWZ Patreon 4 sitting at top. Aussie versus America sitting at top. Just saying, I'm not that bad sometimes.
Jerry's up at the tippy top. If you want to be in a league with me or you want to be in a league with Jerry, you need to head over to Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. We'll be starting new leagues around Valentine's Day after February. We'll see what happens. Maybe, we're up to 13, couple of Devies out there. We have an IDP, a lot going on. And it's not a huge investment over at Dynasty Warzone's Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Give it a check out. And then the group chat. The group chat makes all the difference in the world, going 24/7 nonstop with all the people around the world. Come get better at Dynasty. If this kind of stuff fires you up, if you're passionate, come hang out with over 100 of your favorite passionate Dynasty players and friends, new friends from around the globe. So, all right, Jerry, I want to hit you with a quick segment. What are you doing with these Dynasty running backs long term? Obviously, you're using them now, but can they be the long-term bell cow in their situation? So let's start with the guy who's currently the RB4 on the season. He was a little fluffy, but he won a Lombardi last year. It's Lombardi Lenny, Leonard Fournette, an old favorite of mine. What are your thoughts? Is he going to be a long-term play? Is he someone you should be selling in the offseason? He, much like Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, will also be going into year 6 of his career.
And I borderline would prefer Leonard Fournette over them. I know I could get some extra.
Would you love to have that first? Would you love to have that first?
Yeah.
Lenny in the first?
Oh, easy. I don't know what Leonard Fournette has to do for people to realize that he's just going to score you an ass ton of fantasy points. He is top 2 or 3 receiving backs in the league. Plus, he's a bulldozer. He can score. I really think he's going to still be a Buccaneer next year, and that's even better. I think he's a bell cow. I don't think it's for a long period of time, but I think it's at least for a good time, and I think next year is going to be a good time with Lombardi Lenny.
The best part about Lombardi Lenny is that he's only 27.
Yeah.
And, do you know that he's currently the league leader in receptions with 58? 58.
Just
Lombardi Lenny.
It's funny because I usually hate running backs that are in his age group. The problem is his value doesn't match with where he's at. So he's just a wonderful asset to have.
It's perfect. He's a guy that goes for like RB3 value. That'd be RB 25 through 36 in a startup. Yeah. But he's currently giving you top 5 at the position scoring. Killing it. So for me, if I'm in year 1 or 2 of my 3-year championship competing window, Hook me up like cable with a little bit of Lombardi Lenny. Next guy, James Conner. He was thrown on the trash heap this time last year, and he was a guy who was playing through injury, got healthy in the offseason. I don't think the TD volume is sustainable. He'll be a free agent as well the end of the season. Do you think he gets re-upped at least for another year or two in Arizona? And what are your long-term thoughts? Because this was a guy a couple of years ago that had a couple of nice years in Pittsburgh. Injuries kind of took their toll, and all of a sudden he's back with a vengeance.
I wouldn't be shocked if he did come back to Arizona, and I wouldn't be shocked if he was a bell cow somewhere. But personally, I'm flipping from James Conner. It just smells way too much like LeGarrette Blount's 18 touchdown season. I don't trust it. I don't love it. He's a guy that I really like, and he can pass catch. That's the thing, is he did it in Pittsburgh. He's not doing it as much now, but I think I am flipping James Conner. There's just something about that situation. Like, he's just a different running back than Leonard Fournette. So that's why I am choosing Leonard Fournette, even though he's pretty similar to James Conner, and I'm getting rid of James Conner if I can.
Yeah, I don't blame you. If I have James Conner and I am not in anywhere near contention, I'm going directly to them. If the trade deadline has not passed in my league, I'm just going to go to you and I'm going to say, listen, I'm not monkeying around. Here's the deal. I will give you my 2023 second and James Conner for your first. What is a championship worth? Because I'm going to make that offer to all 6 teams or whatever our league playoff bracket will hold. I'm making everyone that same offer. I will get any first that I can out of James Conner. I'm not in the playoffs. I'm going to stick my hand out. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to move on down the road. And I am going to get out of the James Conner business. And I'm going to get a first because I like first-round picks, Jerry.
And I don't blame you. And it should be relatively easy to get when you consider the man has had touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdown, 2 touchdown games, all in the last, chunk of games. He's been absurd. He has legitimately, you want to talk about a league winner? James Conner's a league winner. Not all those stupid ass posts that you see on Twitter in the offseason. This guy's going to be a league winner. James Conner's the league winner of 2021. And he should be easy to sell.
He's no Javonte Williams, but yes, he could help you win a league all the same. What about my guy? I love busting your chops, Jerry. It's what I do. It's the shtick, Jerry. This is so for those of you listening and not watching on YouTube, we're pulling the curtain back. I love Jerry like family, but on this show, when it says live, Jerry's balls will be busted mercilessly by me, like the big brother that I am.
He called me earlier, so don't let him fool you. He's a nice guy, believe it or not.
I'm a big fan of Gerald Sinclair, always will be, and that's how we roll. All right, Jerry, let's talk about my man, a guy that I've been on, tweeted about him in the offseason, Josh Jacobs. He's kind of like the Rodney Dangerfield, if you remember the old Rodney Dangerfield bit. I get no respect. I get no respect at all. Finished as the RB8 last year, on pace for another RB1 season this year. What are your thoughts on Josh Jacobs?
I definitely think he's going to be a bell cow going forward, but I think he's going to be the same bell cow, like the same disrespected, boring guy that's just like healthy for all 17 games, and he only gets 50 yards rushing, but he also gets 4 catches for 30 yards. And if he gets into the end zone, all of a sudden you look and that boring stat line turns out to be like 21 points. I like Josh Jacobs. And I'm going to definitely have tons of Josh Jacobs because people hate Josh Jacobs. And every time there's a person that gets a ton of points and people don't like them, I always take them. I'm a sucker. I'm a hipster. I can't help it.
Yeah, I love things people hate.
Yeah,
I really, because that's where the value is. Let Twitter and all of the, he wasn't a very good prospect. Did you see his athletic profile? That's fine. Did you see the 13.2 fantasy points per game he's putting? I'll take it. Here's the thing. He's played 10 games this year, Jerry. Did you know he's already set a career high with receptions? He's tied a career high with targets.
It's consistent receptions too. Now, granted, except for this last game where he had like 9 or something, but he's still been getting 4 and 5 a game, which is just awesome, and you love to see it.
And he's playing. He's already got 7 TDs rushing So here's his career: 7 as a rookie, 12 last year, 7 this year, with 5 games to go. Easy to see he's on pace for another double-digit touchdown season. Kenyon Drake got hurt. He's going to be more involved in the passing game than ever. I just don't understand why people hate it. Oh, and he was a first-round pick, so he's going to be there next year. They
See,
could
the
pick
problem
up.
is because he was the 101 in rookie drafts, and he didn't have the blowout season that Saquon had. Because people will love you if you have that one season really early after you're a top 3 rookie pick. Their nipples will get so hard it'll rip through sweatshirts. And I don't get it. Josh Jacobs can be an RB1 every year at the back end of the RB1s, and he'll be considered a bust. And people will avoid him.
You know what? And he'll do that on my rosters.
Yeah, right.
Because I like winning. I like winning. It's weird. I've got this habit that I like to win. And by the way, nipple so hard you could cut glass. What about another guy from we'll go back to the 2017 class. What about Kareem Hunt? Before his calf injury, he was pacing to be an RB1 himself. It feels like the whole offense in Cleveland has kind of hit the mud, a little stalled there in Cleveland. I think Kareem Hunt's going to pick up some value. I don't want him long-term myself. I'm fine putting him in rosters the rest of the season, especially with all the injuries at the RB position, but I don't see him as a long-term play. I'm going to try to get out of him if I'm not past trade deadlines, and I'm either out of the playoffs or I have an abundance.
I think that's the only way you can handle Kareem Hunt. Because if you try and trade Kareem Hunt in the offseason, you will not get the value. You either need to do it now to a contender, and unfortunately, he didn't have a great game, and he's been hurt the last couple of weeks, which does not help you. So you might be better served to wait until the beginning of next year, because I do think he's productive. I do think he's still a great back, and I do think he's capable of scoring tons of points and getting touchdowns. I'm with you that I don't think he's the long-term asset. Nick Chubb is there. You cannot ignore Nick Chubb because he is also a good player. I mean, we could put him in this conversation too while we're at it, but
he's not on the show. He's not on the list.
I know. I just that was a bonus. That was a little bonus.
But throw in a throw in. I think
if your trade deadline, there's the words. English is a tough language. If your trade deadline, if your trade deadline is still active, I would definitely be trying to move Kareem Hunt. He's still outside of this last game, he has been very productive. I think you could still sell him. I have been trying, because I have a couple leagues where I'm not contending and I have Kareem Hunt, trying to pair a second in Kareem Hunt and trying to get a first. It's sort of the same James Conner thing. I might be losing a little value, but I really don't believe in him long term, and I would rather have the shot at the first. And if someone else can have Kareem Hunt and maybe he can help if you have 3 flex spots or something, here you go. While somebody else has an injured player, you can gain Kareem Hunt and get you to the championship. And that first I'm getting is going to be 112 because you're obviously the champion now because I've done this to you because I'm a wonderful and nice person. I think it's a sell that can work.
What's crazy is he finished higher than Nick Chubb last year too. He was the RB10 RB10 on the season, about 14 points a game. Yeah, if he's on my roster come week 1 of 2022, I didn't have a very good offseason. I like Kareem Hunt going into year 6. It's just time to kick him on down the road. Here's a guy that I know you like, Elijah Mitchell. Very polarizing. Is this his job? Can he be the long-term guy?
Yes, easily. I honestly, do you disagree? Let's start that right there.
Man, I just don't trust Kyle Shanahan in this. But here's the thing.
But why? He's had absolute bums in San Francisco. Of course he hasn't decided on any because he's had bums. The best thing that he's had has been Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert was a Detroit Lion at one point and a Chicago Bear at one point, and he doesn't break out until that one little year where he gets like 600 yards as he's like 28 years old. And that's the best thing he's had. Man, get the hell out of here. Elijah Moore is 22, and he has been a monster. I would love to see more receptions, and he's been getting it the last couple of weeks. But we're talking about multiple 100-yard games as a rookie. You
want to hear something weird? And I didn't play. I'm using fantasy data to use fantasy points, and in PPR on the season, this is a points per game average, okay?
Mhm.
Kareem Hunt, 15.2. Josh Jacobs, 15.2. Elijah Mitchell, 15.1. Now, I did not plan this, but if I was going to gamble on any of these guys, I would put Mitchell on there. I might take that 109 or whatever it is that I got from you in that league. I might go
Yeah.
offer it for Elijah Mitchell. I'm actually going to save that talk for our trade target here in a minute. And that's the kind of guy that I'm looking to add. I'm going to gamble. I'm going to gamble that they're not going to add. They don't have a lot of draft capital. They gave up a ton to get your boy Trey Lance.
And they're a better organization than the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you have a free running back who has shown that he can do good things, don't draft one in the first round like the dumbass Jacksonville Jaguars did. I don't think the San Francisco 49ers are in that situation where they are going to do that. And why in the Sam hell would you think that Trey Sermon is going to surpass him when he's literally sitting out games?
You actually want them to keep 2 or 3 of these jag bums around.
I agree.
Jermichael Hasty, Trayson, fine.
Well, Trey Sermon's going to stay there, which is, I think, is good for Elijah Mitchell.
Jeff Wilson, all these dusty, crusty bums. Yeah, man, I'll give you a first for Elijah Mitchell right now.
100%.
He looks good, more involved in the passing game. Last 2 weeks, 5 catches 2 weeks ago, 3 this last week. Upside on upside, and then you get the running ability of a quarterback like Trey Lance. It could open up a lot for him. So I don't think we've seen the best of Elijah Mitchell. This next guy on the season, averaging 14.5 PPR points a game. It's David Montgomery. He could be considered the best RB of that 20. Was that 2019 or 18? Was he in the same classes? No, it was
Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs.
Oh, okay. So how would you rank those 3 and then tell me about Monty?
I think it's Josh Jacobs. I still think Miles Sanders is better than David Montgomery, but it's been ugly, so I can't put him there. So I would say David Montgomery and then Miles Sanders, but I don't really think it's funny because I've been such a David Montgomery guy for so long. I just don't love it. Like, he had tons of reception work in the last game, which is great, but like, at what point do I have to see that this guy is just boring? He's like Tyler Higbee, right? Like, Tyler Higbee had the unbelievable end to the whatever season that was, 2019. And then David Montgomery did it in 2020. The difference is David Montgomery's value has sort of peaked and then plateaued there as to where Tyler Higbee's came back down to earth. I don't think Chicago is going to bring in any big names where they would take tons of work from him. I just don't think he's great. I think if you can get better than RB 15 type numbers for him in a trade, I think that's a good deal. I just don't think he's going to be one of these guys. The mucho touchdowns that he had at the end of 2020, if maybe people thought that was going to signal like, he's taken off and he's ready and he's going to jump into that elite category, and he's just not. So that's my take on David Montgomery.
The problem is that his involvement in the passing game is really dried up. Last year, he started 15 games, had 70 targets. So you're looking at just about 4.5 a game. This year, he's played 8 games. He's had 24 targets. He's averaging 3 a game.
But like 9 were last week. So it's like, it's actually been even worse than those numbers suggest, just based on the one game.
So I think you could actually get a little bit of plus back with Josh Jacobs. If you sent Monty, you could get Josh Jacobs plus a skosh, maybe Josh Jacobs in a second. And I don't mind taking Josh Jacobs.
I agree. And I think there's a way to sell David Montgomery as an ascending asset, right? Like, you get not Adam Gase, Matt Nagy out of there. So you're getting an upgrade there. Justin Fields, potentially a mobile quarterback that can help you spread open the fields. Like, I think there's definitely an argument to be made that he could improve. I'm just not a believer that that's reality.
All right. Well, there you go. I'm not a big Monty guy either. I think he's fine as an RB2 in this group. So there's some long-term value of what I would consider like that middle pack. They're not bona fide superstars like we've already been talking about. They don't have the rookie heat or the sexiness. They would fall behind the Cam Akers, the J.K. Dobbins, the Travis Etiennes, the injured guys.
Yeah.
These are the guys that are going to be in that RB 18 to 20 range, 24. And I'm, some I'm buying, some I'm selling. But all right, Jerry, let's get out of here. But before we do, I want a trade target. They stuck around this long. Who is Jerry looking to acquire in Dynasty, regardless of contender rebuilder?
So I thought about saying Tua just because I wanted to see your face, but I didn't. I'm not going to go with Tua, even though he has won 4 games in a row and he's looking all right. I went with Miles Sanders because Miles Sanders is it 5 in a row? Miles Sanders because I don't know what the hell to do with Miles Sanders, but every time he gets in the game, he's a player. And, he had
I agree until he gets hurt.
Yeah, I know, and that's the problem. The good thing though is that his trade value is baked into that. Miles Sanders is not worth anything. He's a ugly Christmas sweater. Every once in a while you don't mind to have one, but you wouldn't wear it every day. His trade value is the same thing. You can get an ugly Christmas sweater on your way to grandma's at the gas station and it'll be good enough. And that's what Miles Sanders is. And it's going to do its job when you need it to, and you're not going to go broke doing it. So I think there's a chance, because if Miles Sanders plays 17 games, if some butts were candy and nuts to be Christmas all year, yada, 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 I think he's awesome. He's just a person that whenever he has gotten the ball, he has been awesome. And Philly didn't give him the ball early in the season. And then he gets hurt because he's Miles Sanders and he gets effing hurt. And then he comes back and he's extremely productive with the minuscule amount of touches that he gets. And then this last week, he gets a ton of targets and he gets hurt again. Dude, help me out is what I'm saying. But he is very cheap. And we talked about people hating Elijah Mitchell. People really hate Miles Sanders. And they are ready to just throw him on the bargain bin DVD pile there at Best Buy. So I think he's my target only because he's a throw-in. And I think he has the opportunity to be more than that.
I listened to that entire rant, and the thing that really caught my attention the most is that gas stations in the Michigan area have Christmas sweaters.
What, you don't have that? Or hats? my God.
I was on vacation in the Florida-Bama area, right there along the Panhandle where Florida meets Alabama. And in the gas station across the street from the condo we were staying in on the beach, they had a wall of Columbia fishing shirts, Costa Del Mar sunglasses, and Yeti coolers. It was the damnedest thing I'd ever seen. We're talking about $70 shirts, $200-$300 pair of sunglasses, $400 coolers, right next to the beef jerky and the chewing gum.
Ours is off-brand, straight build, Old English D hats, and then marijuana grinders, and that's what gas stations in Michigan all look like.
That's pretty sweet. My guy's Cam Akers.
Oh,
Cam
that's
Akers.
A good one.
Cam Akers. They did the vignettes with him and Eric Dickerson about being the next great Rams running back, and I think a lack of a true running game is really what's hurting the LA Rams. When the LA Rams offense was at its true best. And that was when Jared Goff, but they had a guy named Todd Gurley. And that team needs a back, a big-time back. Yeah, they're going to sprinkle in some Sony Michel. They're going to sprinkle in some Darrell Henderson. But this is the guy they wanted to feature in that offense. Right now, they're forced to overexpose Matt Stafford. And as we've seen, Matt Stafford, I don't want to hurt your feelings, Jerry, but he can't carry a franchise. He just can't. He just can't. You can give him Cooper Kupp and you can give him Odell Beckham Jr. and Tyler Higbee and a decent offensive line. But let me ask you a question. What would the Rams' record be right now if they had Jared Goff?
I mean,
would it be similar to the same 8-4 they are now?
I mean, it'd be a little worse probably, but
7-5 in the playoff hunt. I mean, right now in the NFC, 6-6 is in the playoffs. You think they'd still be in that 5-7 range where they are now?
Yeah,
except they're 2 first-round picks lighter in the hip pocket. So this is an offense that's going to want to heavily involve Cam Akers. He was the plan. He looks great. He's already working out, and I want to get him. I want to get him right now. So I'm going to go offer that first. You traded me in the Christian McCaffrey deal, because then I'm going to be able to look on this. I'm going to look back at this podcast in about September, October of next year when Cam Akers is running wild on the NFL, and I'm going to look at you. I'm going to horse laugh you. And I'm going to say I literally got Cam Akers and a 2023 first for Christian McCaffrey as he's out with another lower body injury.
Let's talk about Cam Akers. So I think there is a situation where that is okay. And I think it is if you are a contender. If you are in a contender, you have a contending team and you can afford to give up your first, then I agree. Going after the risk that is Cam Akers is a good risk to make. If you are in a rebuild, I don't think so, though. Because if he fails miserably, and you're betting on somebody coming back from an Achilles, which is a real MFer, your firsts are your best assets in a rebuild. They are the key to every bit of value that you have, and to potentially move one for somebody that has that just traumatic of an injury, I think is super risky.
Am I going to get a running back that has as much potential upside as Cam Akers?
We don't know what his potential is. That's the problem.
Sure we did. We saw like a 5-game sample of it last year.
And then he tore his Achilles. So we don't know that that's the same guy. That's why I think it's different depending on your team makeup.
I am going to risk it for that biscuit. Do I need another wide receiver? Do I need
no?
Because that's what you're getting.
I mean,
110, 111, 112.
I agree. It is situationally dependent for sure. It's just when you are in a situation where those picks are the cornerstone of your rebuild and your strategy for years to come, betting on somebody that's a running back, nonetheless, that has had an Achilles tear is just such a risky move for me that I can't get behind it. But if I have a championship team and I'm sitting and I have 110 and that 110 isn't going to help me win anyway, I think I can risk going for Cam Akers right now. And I think that's better because the Cam Akers owner is likely losing, right? Like for the most part, you probably were relying on Cam Akers. He went to shit.
Or they got him because they're already rebuilding and they went ahead and got him in earlier in the offseason with the plans of building around him next year. So you're going to have a tougher time getting him.
And what do rebuilding teams love, right? I haven't shut up about them. First round picks. So I think acquiring them is the way to go. So it is situationally dependent, in my opinion. Now, Randy is all aboard the train, but
heck yeah, I'm all aboard the Cam Akers train.
Look at this old man. He get what? Your back can't withstand the sitting in the chair no more.
It's my knees. It's my knees are.
So if you're not watching on YouTube, Randy is leaning against the desk while doing the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still right up against the mic. I'm trying to give you
doing a great job. Just listen. You took a shot at me. I'm going to take some shots at you. It's okay.
That's the way that this works. But also the way that this works is if you would hook us up with some 5-star reviews. It's been a little while. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, wherever, hit pause. Go directly into your podcast review. And here's the thing. If you leave a 5-star and you leave comments, that even if they're negative, we want to make the show better. So leave us a 5-star. Leave us what you want us to work on. And we'd be more than happy to read them and try to help make the show better. Because that's what we do here at the Dynasty WarZone, Jerry.
Always trying to get better, man. Trying to make you better, too.
Which is why I like hate brand goods. That's the whole thing. It's not about hating other people. The hate means hating yourself enough to do the work to get better. And that's why the message resonates with me. And you can check out the clothing. They've got Black Friday deals. They're doing giveaways. They're, they're giving away a bag if you purchase like $125 worth of stuff. A lot of deals going on, Jerry. We need to get you in some athletic gear looking sharpish.
Well, listen, with this haircut, I think I could pull it off, man.
I think we got to get that fade tightened up, get you some hate brand goat shorts. And Mike in the comments said, haha, he's old. I'm not old. I did a workout today. I did a workout today that would kill most of you people.
Just because you're in better shape doesn't mean you're not old. Just saying.
Oh yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. We've already said it twice in the show.
Just because you can outrace me, beat my ass, probably out-eat me, definitely outlift me.
But see, Jerry,
Yeah,
that's
a lot
why
of
I work out. Because again, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. It's been a good time hanging out with you. Please go to YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere where you can rate, review, subscribe to the show, and interact with us. It helps the show grow. We'd love for you to check out Hate Brand Goods. We'd love for you to check out betus.com. Use promo code Memphis at both Hate Brand and at betus.com. Or check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. But if you just want to help us and you're like, well, I'm not ready to break out the wallet just yet, cool. Simply leave us a thumbs up. Simply leave us a rating and a review. And I'm going to go out with this. David Donaldson said, I am old and a shape. Wonder what shape he is. Would you like a hexagon?
No, he's a star for sure.
Oh, I like how you did that. We are not going to top that. So we're going to call this one a night. Thanks for tuning in. Jerry, what are we trying to do here at the Dynasty WarZone?
Here at the Dynasty WarZone, we're just trying to make the world a better place for fantasy football.
We'll see you back here next week. If you want to catch the show live, you might want to be around the computer on Sunday. But until then, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, y'all. That was a y'all, Jerry.
Yeah, it was a good one.